It is not a matter of if, ladies and gentlemen, this week. It is a matter of how the Clemson Tigers are going to win their home opener against Charleston Southern. We're going to break that game down and a whole lot more here on the All Clemson Tigers Week 2 preview live show. I'm Brad Sinkoff, executive editor at allclemsontigers.com, joined by recruiting director Jason Priester. And on location live from Magnetic South Brewery in downtown Anderson, it's Zach Lentz, our publisher, our fearless leader, holding it down downtown Anderson tonight.
That's right. We make it look crazy here.
Yeah, I see that. Welcome. Unfortunately, Jason is unable to be there tonight. He is covering high school football in a little bit. I'm going to be unable to be there tonight because I've been under the weather, but Zach had no problems showing up, showing out in force at Magnetic South, and you need to go by and see him tonight. He's got swag up front. This is for all you who are there and all of you who are going to be coming in as the night goes along, as the day goes along. He's got T-shirts, he's got cups, he's got pins, hats, whatever you want, come and grab it. It's a free for all today. It's free. It's Free Friday. Let's call it Free Friday. Does that work for everybody? Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Free as free can get.
Volunteers, you think you can throw better than cake cutting? This will be your tryout. Or if you think you can catch better than your Collins.
Oh, man, that's brutal. No, in all seriousness, if you can catch, try out now with Zach, and then you can go try out with Fernando Sweeney later. But let Zach throw you a football if you're out there tonight at Magnetic South in Clemson. I want to thank everybody who is watching tonight live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You can also make sure you go back and catch any of the show that you missed. We'll have the video up on YouTube in a little bit. And thank you for people already coming in live here on the show. That's what we want. We're going to let you be part of the show tonight. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to talk about your comments. We're going to hit on everything we can about week 2 for the Clemson Tigers. We can't talk about week 2 without talking about week 1 and what happened on Monday night. So we're going to get to all that. Stay tuned.
It's scary. I am here at the drinking capital of South Carolina, and I guarantee people will need to drink as they're going to talk about recon.
That's awesome. Well, can't wait to dive into it tonight, but we want you to start getting in with your thoughts, your questions, and your comments today, as it's going to be a fun, fast-paced show. We have so much to get to in such a short amount of time. Jason's got high school football to get to, and we'll get right into it here in just a moment. I want you to make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, make sure you follow us. If you're on Twitter, make sure you follow us. It really helps you just as much as it helps us to get all the latest going on with Clemson Tigers at All Clemson Tigers channel and the allclemsontigers.com. Make sure you check out the website all weekend long, as we got a lot of coverage coming up for tomorrow's game, 2:15 p.m. in the Valley. It's going to be the season opener for the Tigers, and they're coming in wounded. They're coming in with their tails tucked between their legs after a 28-7 loss at Duke on Monday night. It's a short turnaround week. Clemson got back really early Tuesday morning, had to flip the page, deal with that loss, start getting ready for another opponent. Not a lot of time to prep. They did do a little bit of prep during fall camp for Charleston Southern so that they're not behind per se, because you treat every opponent the same, and you have to show this is football, man. This is football. You got to show up prepared. You got to show up ready to play. And I don't think we saw as much of that on Monday night as people assumed there would be. So I think it's going to be imperative that Clemson comes out with some energy on this short week. Before we get into this week, let's go back to Monday night for a moment, gentlemen. Jason, I want to start with you. what's the one thing you were surprised by Monday night? Something that you just did not see coming that you saw from this Clemson team against the Duke Blue Devils?
The lack of ability to stretch the field. I thought with this new scheme, we were going to see shots down the field, this offense getting back to picking up chunk plays. We saw none of that. Almost all of Cade Klubnik's passes didn't travel 10 yards in the air. I think they only took one or two shots, and those were he was throwing into coverage when he did throw down the field. That was my biggest surprise. I thought this offense was going to get back to taking shots, dictating the pace. Instead, we saw another effort of settling for what the defense was giving them.
Zach, I'll turn it over to you. What were some things that stood out to you that you were surprised about, maybe on the defensive side of the ball?
I think, almost what we heard from Eric Carr this week. This was a team and defense that felt like they weren't in shape. And so that's shocking because they looked slow, they looked lethargic, they took poor angles and tackling. They weren't covering the wheeler out. So there are so many things that they need to go. Hang on. I thought Carter and Chalk are supposed to be the best linebacker duo in college football, and they look like hot garbage. I mean, so from that standpoint, it's just that the lack of conditioning here. You can go back to Dad was saying earlier during these spring scrimmages that he held a lot of starters out on defense to give the young guys their chance. And honestly, it was the young guys that showed out more than the veterans. Peter Lewis, T.J. Parker, those guys played their rear off, and the others looked like they were not ready for duty.
Yeah, I think that was very surprising to me as well in terms of the preparation. The Tigers just didn't look ready for a game one. You don't expect that out of Dabo Swinney. Sure, I know they like to sort of build it as the season goes along. You hear that all the time. But where was the urgency from this team? Where was the fire and the passion that we talked about last week on the week one preview show? It just wasn't there for me. And some of the stuff they did, just some of the poor fundamentals, holding on to the football, the tackling. I just don't think Clemson went through maybe as tough. And I'm just guessing, okay? I'm just going off of what I saw in week one. I don't know they went through the physicality of camp that they have in past years. You have to question it. Am I wrong to question that maybe Clemson just did not go through the kind of fall camp that really prepares you?
I agree. Exactly what I said. Carter came out and said that, and then you had Dow Wednesday night said he expects that. He said there's natural round-up process to the season. However, Duke didn't look like they needed that round-up. They came out ready. They came out physically ready. And I tell you what, if you're Clemson, you need to be concerned with that.
I think you probably do. I think you're probably right. Now, this week we may not see any of those things pop up, or maybe we'll get to that as we go throughout the show. Jason, I want to turn it back on you in terms of what you saw that maybe you weren't surprised by. What was something that you saw about this team or this offense, defense, special teams, something that you were like, man, I certainly didn't expect that.
Something I was not surprised by.
Yes, something you weren't surprised about.
I can't say the ball security issues kind of shocked me and caught me off guard. It's something we've seen going back to last year, going back to before the South Carolina game. Really, these guys on this offense have had problems holding on to the ball, and it has carried over into this season. 2 critical turnovers down inside the one. Those are back-breaking kind of mistakes, and you just cannot have them in them spots in the field. But I can't say that I was all that surprised to see it because we've kind of become accustomed to seeing it.
Yeah, I speaking of some of those issues, I wasn't surprised to see the kicking game struggle. Now remember, they do not have a dedicated special teams coach. They break it up among the other guys on the staff. They were breaking in a new kicker, long snapper. There's a lot of newness, a lot of different things going on, and you saw the low kicks that both get blocked on the field goal attempts. I think we all were a little hesitant about what Robert Gunn was going to look like as the kicker on this team, and I think it proved out to be that way a little bit. That those concerns were real, and it showed. And now, Coach Sweeney talked about it on Tuesday night about getting to look at some other guys at kicker. He doesn't want to lose faith in Robert Gunn, but it sounded like he kind of did by opening some things up. So I'm not surprised by that. I thought there were going to be some rough spots on this special teams, and we'll talk more about that when we do the breakdown preview from each unit. What about you, Zach? What's something that you weren't surprised by on Monday night?
I was not surprised by firing Peter Parker. Heroes and TJ Parker. Those guys came out and they honestly they were two of the they top performers on Monday night simply because they were disrupted. They got after the quarterback and they caused issues when they were in the game. And TJ Parker is in early, so is Peter Woods. Those guys didn't surprise me at all. Jason has been on TJ Parker since last year sometime when he first heard his name. And he is the real deal. So is Peter Woods. Those guys did not disappoint and honestly didn't surprise me, with how well they played.
Some other things that maybe weren't that big of a surprise. Was anybody shocked that Cade Klubnik had that kind of up and downness that we've seen already early in his career? I mean, look, there's a couple of times he made tremendous throws. He made a couple to the sideline that there are not a lot of quarterbacks in the country that are going to throw with that kind of accuracy. Receivers didn't always hold on the ball, but he made some great throws. But, boy, you saw some of that jitteriness that you saw against Tennessee. Yeah, it was like you basically saw everything from 2 games last year kind of wrapped up into 1 game this year. A little bit of good, a lot of questions. Was anybody surprised by that at all?
No, I can't say that I was all that surprised by it. You would have hoped he would have been a little bit further along than he is right now, but he's your guy. You're gonna have to stick with him. He's just gonna have to learn on the job and get better as he gains more experience.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's break down what's going to happen this week. Obviously, the Charleston Southern Buccaneers come to town 2:15 p.m. on the ACC Network. Clemson's home opener, looking to start a new streak. Right, they lost their last game at home, and that was against the South Carolina Gamecocks back at the end of the regular season last year. So, looking to start that streak back over tomorrow afternoon. And this is a Charleston Southern team coming in. Guys, I don't know about you. I don't know that Charleston Southern is going to be playing at a super high level in this game, but they got to smell a little blood in the water, right? They probably have a little bit more confidence than they had before Duke did to Clemson what Duke did to Clemson. I'm really curious to see how that goes. This is a team in Charleston Southern that honestly did not play all that well last week and found a way to win anyway. 13-10 was their final in a win over North Greenville, and they actually got outgained in total yards in this one on offense, 291 to 252. They did average a little bit more per play at 4.6, and they ran the ball much more efficiently with 148 yards on 35 carries. They held North Greenville to just 1.4 yards per rush. This is going to be a little bit different run game this week against the Clemson Tigers, and you expect Will Shipley and Phil Maffa to feast on a smaller lineup, and we'll get into what the Tigers have to do this week to prove to people that they can turn this season around. But I just think, Charleston Southern still very overmatched, but you got to wonder if it's a team that comes in with a little bit more excitement, a little more energy than maybe they were going to have before what happened on Monday night occurred. So let's get into it. Before we turn our attention to the coaching corner segment, I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, give us a follow. If you are watching us on Twitter, make sure you are X, make sure you give us a follow as well. And of course, we're presented tonight here on the All Clemson Tigers live preview show by Magnetic South Brewery in downtown Anderson. Make sure you go out and see Zach. He's hanging out up there. He's got plenty of free swag. So if you're in the crowd, walk over, get whatever you want. Put your hands up like this. Zach will throw you a bullet and hit you right between the numbers. So you get an opportunity to catch a football tonight. So make sure you go over there and take care of that while you're hanging out at Magnetic South Brewery in downtown Anderson. All right, guys, Coach's Corner. Every week we like to play a clip from a head coach or an assistant coach. We don't have any assistant coaches. We're not getting them once a month now. Brand new rule instituted by Dabo Swinney this year. But we do have this from the head coach himself from Wednesday night. We'll talk about it after you get to hear it.
For the first time in 127 years, and but we did it, and but I'm proud of what I saw on tape. I mean, we've won a lot of games around here where when I watched the tape, I wasn't real happy. But everything that I wanted to see is as far as how we play and what leads to winning. I saw that. There was not, the guys are in position to win. I mean, if we average if we do what we did offensively for the rest of the year, we won't lose another game. It's just that simple. I'll sign up for that right now. And so I was very encouraged by what we saw, and it's unfortunate that got overshadowed because we lost the game. But that's what happens when you don't do some of the routine things. We had a cadence situation. We had ball handling. We, put the ball on the ground a couple of times. 3 trips inside the 5, we get nothing. A couple of low kicks, and then defensively, to hold them a good offense to 13 points deep into the fourth quarter. I'll sign up for that every week too. But we didn't do much offensively to help them. So there were a lot of positives. I thought the guys played hard. They competed their tails off. We just didn't, do the routine things well. And everything that we didn't do well is very correctable.
Is it, though? I think that's the question that everybody out there is asking themselves this week. Now, what do you make of what Coach Swinney said there, Jason, when he said that if we do that every single week, we'll beat every team on the schedule? Now, I know he's not referring to context here. He is not referring to turning the ball over on back-to-back drives inside the red zone, having a field goal block before that, and going scoreless in the second half. I don't think that's what he meant by that. But when you hear those comments, does it ring kind of hollow? Does it make a lot of sense? Like, I understand why people maybe aren't so happy by hearing that.
Yeah, I understand too. I think that message is starting to ring hollow with some people inside this fan base because it's not hard to see when you go back and watch that game. That offense is the way they played the other night. Take out the fumbles and stuff. Just the not being able to push the ball down the field. You're not going to beat the better teams on your schedule if you can't pick up the chunk plays and you're having to rely to dink and dunk it down the field on every offensive possession. Yeah, I'm not buying it, and I think it's starting to ring hollow on some of the fans.
Zach, Coach Swinney always kind of wears it on his sleeve, but sometimes it can get him in a little bit of hot water. Do you think that what he said is something that should be concerning, or do you get his point that if Clemson plays well and moves the football each and every week like they did in that second half, they'll be just fine?
No, and the reason is you have to get, better quarterback play. Cade Clothing threw for 4.9 yards a pass.
Cannot do that.
And
that's got to be better.
You are telling me that Dow is going to sign up for that garbage every game this year, and he thinks that's going to win him every game? He is mistaken. And like Jason said, this stuff is not ringing true to the fans any longer. It rings and smells almost like Tommy Valley years. If we just had this one play back, or if we had just not giving up 800 yards offense and all that stuff. The excuses have to go. There should be some accountability. And look, this is press conference style. So hopefully his message to the team is, look guys, this stuff isn't going to cut. However, all we can go by is what he said to us. And what he said to us is he'll sign up for the offensive production Monday night every game this year. And I promise you, unless Kate Clouden improves, you're going to see a 4-5 loss team.
Well, this is a situation where total yards don't tell the story of a game, right? Because he is pointing to the 200 passing and the 200 rushing and the great record that Clemson had every time they've done that. But total offense is a bad stat, guys. It's not indicative of the game. This is the perfect example of that.
Same as time of possession.
Yeah, exactly. It's about your efficiency, and you can get all the yards you want, but if you don't get it in the end zone, nobody cares. You have 350 yards. If you score 4 times, you're in a tie game. You get 450 yards, and you don't get any touchdowns except the one that came on a short drive because of a turnover. You get blown out 28-7. So it is very misleading at times to just look at those yards. And I also think that's what he was kind of pointing to. You dive deeper into the numbers and you look through the stats. Zach mentioned that 4.9 yards per pass attempt. That just cannot happen in 2023 anymore. You're not going to win ball games doing that, period. All right, gentlemen, let's move on and get into some other things. Make sure if you're out of Magnetic South, go up there and get that free swag Zach's got for you. It's great stuff. Some football, some cups, some T-shirts. It's all for you, and I'll be back up there next Friday. Thanks to Zach for going out there this week as I was under the weather, not able to make it, but still here on the All Clemson Tigers live show. Yeah, there we go. All right, good stuff there. Let's break down Clemson this week. 2:15 p.m. tomorrow. They're back on the football field. They've got a chance to start piecing it back together, maybe prove some of the things that you saw in week 1 aren't who they are. And I want to be perfectly clear. Week 1, as I said last week, and I've said over and over again on this channel, it is wonky. It is weird. You don't know what you're going to expect. You haven't had a scrimmage. Maybe you didn't hit as much as you should have in practice. We already covered that. And so you get some weirdness to it. It's not always a definition of who you are or who you're going to be. There is this thing called improvement, and Dabo Swinney does have a track record of development, but the question is, are some of the issues on this team simply not fixable? Do we get some answers to that in week 2, tomorrow afternoon against Charleston Southern, a team that Clemson's supposed to beat by a lot of points, and it's an FCS foe. Let's start with the offense here. Jason, I thought Garrett Riley ran some good concepts in week 1. I questioned some of the things that they had the receivers doing. There was a couple plays the receivers didn't seem to know where they were going or what they were doing. I don't know if that's miscommunication or it's not supposed to be overcomplication because we've been told it's supposed to be a simpler offense. But there were some disjointed moments. There was some good, there was some bad within the system and the play calling itself. Do you still believe in Garrett Riley's system? Is it too early to tell one way or the other?
Yeah, I think I still believe in Garrett Riley's system. It's easy to overlook the fact that this was the first game, new system. You get 15 practices in the spring, 15 practices in the fall. Bound to be a few hiccups, in the very first game. And we saw more than a few. That one of those plays you're talking about, I seem to recall one receiver looked like he was going out to block and everybody else is running routes. So did seem to be at least some examples of miscommunication. I think this is the perfect week to kind of iron out some of those kinks because this is an overmatched opponent. Let's be brutally truth here.
Yeah.
This is a team Clemson should smoke, and this is a team Clemson should be able to come out here and fix some of the issues, or at least trying to start fixing some of those issues that plagued them Monday night.
Zach, do you think that the Tigers should even worry about the run game? I know Will Shipley and Phil Maffa could combine for 350 yards if they wanted to in this game. But that doesn't help Clemson. Do they need to sort of maybe just abandon the run? I know it sounds weird to say, but really work out the kinks in this passing game?
I think, if I am in doubt, I am on the phone with Charleston Southern's head coach, and I am saying, look, I apologize, if the score gets out of control, but we have some issues that we have to get fixed. So you're going to see a lot of clubbing. You're going to see a lot of these receivers running down the field trying to make those big plays. I think that anything short of that is going to be a disappointment simply because this is a Tiger team that honestly they can't have a ton of confidence. Look, the mood in the press conference room Wednesday was eerie. I mean, it was very strange because they were all coming there, hopping around, like happy. Hey, how are you supposed to do all this stuff? And I was waiting for someone like a James Skalski to come in and just let it fly. Let us know that you're pissed off. I didn't see that. So, Dow has talked and talked and talked. This offense, this passing game, these receivers, if I am him, I tell, Charleston Southern's coach, look, it's nothing personal. We are coming out here to, get some good work in at the expense of y'all.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. John gets in and says, my only complaint is week one looked almost completely like the end of 2022, despite, looking offense to some degree, but really bad execution still. It was a different offense to some degree. I totally agree with John, but he to me, he nailed it right there. It was too similar to what we've seen in the past. Receiver drops, bad routes, no separation. I think we got a lot of complaints already here about no separation and the inability to stretch the field and really create. So I ask this question to everyone out there, and Jason, I'll let you answer this one. Who should be the starting receivers for Clemson this week?
If it was me, Tyler Brown would be in the starting lineup this week.
Amen. Thank you.
Somewhere on the field. He looked like the best guy out there the other night. And, watching it live, I saw some windows down in the field. I saw some guys open that Klubnik either did not throw into or did not see, one or the other. But at the same time, I told myself I was not going to go back and watch the broadcast, but I did and suffered through it one more time. I also saw some lazy route running. Route running's about effort, in my opinion. That's the way I look at it. You're as good as you want to be, or it's about how much work you put into being a great route runner. And I saw a lot of lackadaisical route running. That used to not fly at Clemson, and it seems to be the standard these days.
I saw one where Jake Brenningstool came off the line, and he looked like he was dancing. He was
one of the
shifting. He's got a beautiful float shift move. He's doing like this, and his feet were moving really fast, and he wasn't going anywhere. I'm like, that's not a route, man. I mean, I'm not
one of the worst.
I am not a receiving coach. I'm not a tight end coach. I have watched football for long enough to know that he did was not a route. And so I think Jason's right about that. Tyler Brown needs to play more in this offense, and I think everybody sort of saw that. Did the coaches see? It's the question, but I think that Tyler Brown looked like one of the guys who can actually get some separation and create. And he's not a guy who's been in the program very long, and he's running better routes than some of the guys who've been there for 3 years. I'm tired of this. You got to play like a football or a basketball team on football. I don't care the size of Tyler Brown. I don't care the size of Antonio Williams. Put one of them on the outside, but get both of them on the field. You agree, Jason, or do you agree, Zach?
Yeah, I think Tyler Brown, Antonio, and then honestly, I don't care who the third one is because they're all
matter.
They're all to leave that. I am anxious to see, hopefully, Noble Johnson running hand and Tyler Brown all get extended looks this week. I mean, Johnson, you heard rave things about all summer, all fall camp. And then, he's not even on the trial roster to do. And Cole Turner is starting at your X receiver spot out there ahead of Al Randall.
Mm.
So, I honestly don't care who it is. If Tyler Brown and Antonio Williams are not on the field at the start of this game, someone should ring some necks.
All right, let's wrap up the offensive conversation. Jason, with you, what can we learn about the offense this week in this game?
I don't know what we can learn about it this week in this game.
Is there anything with the offensive line that you want to see, or maybe the receiver rotation?
I'd like to see the pass protection cleaned up a little bit. I don't think the offensive line played quite as terribly as some are making them out to have played. But I do think there were some issues here and there in pass protection. I'd like to see some of that cleaned up. This is the perfect opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I thought Blake Miller had a rough game. I want to see him bounce back and just look like he knows what he's doing, goes the right direction, blocks the right guy at right tackle. That would be a big step. Going back to something Zach said real quick before we move on, this might be a game where you can play a Tink Kelly. You can play Ronan Hannafin and Noble Johnson. You can get them on the field in this game. If one or two of those guys has a big play, create something, I don't care if it's Charleston Southern or not, play them again next week against FAU, see if they do it again. That would be something I think you might can get out of this game. Zach's live there on location at beautiful, wonderful Magnetic South Brewery in downtown Anderson. Make sure you go see him. He's got plenty of free swag for you. Get whatever you want. He's got T-shirts, footballs, water bottles, cups, you name it. He's got it all.
Just come and take it.
Come on.
There is no stealing here.
That's right. It's up for grabs today. Speaking of up for grabs, let's move over to the defense where I will let Zach answer this one. Last year against Furman, Clemson was coming off of an early week. They played at Georgia Tech they played against Georgia down in Atlanta on that Monday. Furman, I think we can all agree, probably much better team from top to bottom than Charleston Southern. But you think back to that game, there were some things that popped up in that Furman contest that weren't just isolated to that one game. Some of the effort, some of the some of the bad tackling, the poor angles, some of the secondary issues I remember, and just the energy level. Are you concerned that there could be something similar if Clemson doesn't dominate on defense this year against Charleston Southern?
Yeah, I am. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. For me, this is a game where the weather is supposed to be awful. Not sure how many fans are going to show up. The defense needs to come out and shut down Charleston Southern. They need a game where they impose their will on an offense and leave the Charleston Southern team, just bruised. I also want to see, Carter and Trotter and these stars actually make these simple plays. I want to see them do the little things right that obviously they didn't do Monday. If they can clean up that stuff, I think they'll have a great day. If they continue with the same effort, the same, poor angles, poor tackling and stuff, Charleston Southern is going to score some points on them.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. We'll get to that coming up shortly. Jason, the secondary, you know what? Let's not even mess with the secondary because this is a team coming in here. Charleston is not going to throw the ball. They had 100 yards against North Greenville last week. They're not going to come in and try to air it out and try to exploit anything there. But overall, who are some of the young guys that maybe we didn't get to see enough of or didn't get to see at all in week 1 that you're going to keep an eye on here in week 2?
Maybe some of those freshman linebackers. There's not a lot of depth there, and we've talked about it a couple of times here today. Not saying either one, no, D. Creighton or Jamal Anderson, they're not coming in and taking starting jobs or anything, but maybe they can come in and earn some more opportunities, because Carter and Trotter, we talked about, they did not play very well. Particularly Carter did not play particularly well Monday night. So I'm anxious to see those linebackers get a little bit more time, get a few more reps, and get a little bit more experience.
Yeah, I like that one. That's a good one. Yeah, again, I just don't know we're going to get a lot to learn out of the secondary this week. I don't know if they're going to get tested enough. We talked about the concern for the lack of tackling, lack of physicality from this defense. Let's see if that's there this week. If it's not, like Zach's saying, we're going to press the panic button if it's not there against Charleston Southern. But I think we addressed that earlier on in the show, and I think we're all very concerned about that moving forward. Let's head over to special teams. And normally this is just a quick stop. We won't spend a whole lot of time on special teams, but we did mention Robert Gunn. That was a player that I wasn't surprised that he struggled kicking the ball on Monday night. How much of a leash do you think Robert Gunn III has, Zach, as you go into week 2? Can you give him – how many opportunities can he get? Does he have to come out and be perfect in this game on Saturday?
Honestly, if Clemson is settling for field goals on Saturday,
That's a good point.
They have serious issues that go far beyond Robert Gunn. I mean, I think this is a touchdown team and game where you have to score touchdowns for the fan base. I guarantee if that first drive ends with Robert Gunn running out on the field for a field goal, you're going to hear some boos. And so, not sure how much a chance he's actually going to get. But honestly, I think his leash is long. I mean, Dow, he is loyal to his guys, as you saw with DJ Uyunglele. He has been loyal to his guys, even Kelly Ryan in that 2018 season. He is a guy that when you lose your job, you have to be egregiously bad. And I know at some point he is going to bring up Chandler Catanzaro and the struggles he had his first year. And then he came back and, was all conference, all American type kicker. So I think, Gunn's leash is extremely long because Clemson doesn't have anyone else. Liam Roy is in North Carolina. He was the best kicker we saw in the spring game. So I think
Dabo Swinney said he took a look at Quentin Castner the other night in practice. So I don't know.
He took a look at him, like this. He went, all right, yeah, he can kick the.
Oh man.
I mean,
I'll to wrap up the questions about special teams here. I don't know that we're going to learn a whole lot more about punter. I thought that Aiden Swanson was fine the other night, but if Aiden Swanson's out there a lot tonight, or a lot tomorrow, I should say, that's a bigger story than anything else. Just like Zach's talking about with the kicking. So I don't know that we'll learn a lot about the punters in this game. Make sure you are subscribed to the All Clemson channel. Coming up on Sunday, I'm going to have the Sunday reset where I kind of take a look back at what happened in Saturday's game and then get you ready for the next opponent with FAU and what you're going to hear from Coach Sweeney and the players throughout next week. So make sure you're tuned into Sunday reset. I'll have that posted and published up on YouTube on Sunday evening. And then Monday, it's Monday Live with Jason Priester. It's back, Jason. How excited are you? You got the week off because you had to cover a game. You'd probably rather have been doing Monday Live, wouldn't you?
I was a little disappointed we didn't get to do it this week because that would have been fire. That show would have been fire if we would have gotten to do it a day or two after. But looking forward to getting back at it Monday.
7 p.m. Monday Live right here on the All Clemson channel on YouTube. All right, gentlemen, that wraps up the Clemson Tigers. For now, we're going to come back to them in a moment. But let's hit on what else is going on in college football, starting with the ACC. Louisville had a blowout win last night, 56-0 over Murray State. Really nothing there to break down. Can Clemson do that to an FCS team like Louisville did? We'll find out tomorrow. We talked a lot last Friday because we had already seen NC State. We'd already seen Miami. We'd already seen Wake Forest. We did not see North Carolina and Florida State until Saturday night and Sunday night, respectively. So I want to ask you, Zach, I'll start with you. How much of a threat are the Tar Heels to Clemson based on what you saw in their 2-touchdown win over South Carolina on Saturday night?
Well, I think they're as big of a threat as ever. I mean, hell, Mac Brown choked out Shane Beamer. So, I mean, if nothing else, Dabo's health is probably at risk.
That's so bad.
But,
Jason, what do you make of Jason? What do you make of Florida State? From what we saw against LSU, they look so good, so much firepower everywhere. That game's a couple weeks away, and we're going to spend an enormous amount of time breaking it down. But just your thoughts on how good the Seminoles looked, what that means for Clemson.
Yeah, they were sharp. They got some dudes at wide receiver, man. If Clemson's secondary does not get tested much between now and then, it is going to get tested that game. They've got some size, speed out there on the edges. That's going to be a heck of a challenge for the Tigers.
Absolutely. I agree with that. All right, let's take a look at some of the other action in the ACC coming up. What is going to be the most intriguing game this weekend? It's one, week 2, there's a couple matchups in some other leagues that maybe are more interesting. In terms of just the ACC itself, is there a game, Jason, that stands out to you that you can't wait to see?
That Notre Dame NC State game. I thought NC State was a little underwhelming in their opener against UConn. So I'm kind of curious to see how they look in game 2 with the Fighting Irish coming to town with Sam Hartman leading that rejuvenated offense there.
I would agree with that one. I think it's probably maybe one of the bigger games on the slate this week. Zach, is there anything, we got Miami going to hosting Texas A&M. Is that a game that, you feel like you're going to learn a whole lot about this Hurricanes team that's trying to rebound this year?
Yeah, I think that is, that's a huge game for Mario Cristobal and, what he is trying to build. And it's a huge game for Jimbo. I mean, you have a guy that has all the NIL resources you could want there in Aggie Land, and you have a super high salary, and the fans out there are getting tired of paying for 84 and 9-3. So I think this is an interesting game because Miami fans they are desperate for the U to be back, and A&M is desperate to just be relevant, and so I think this is a very interesting game.
I agree. And, the way that Tyler Van Dyke, him and Connor Weigman, this is going to be a really good quarterback matchup to see who's for real, and maybe both of them turned out to be for real in this game, but it's a great week 2 barometer test for the quarterbacks. Is Van Dyke really going to step up and play, a huge game against a top 25 team? Well, he's been injured, it seems like, all the time. He had that one little spurt a couple years ago where he was pretty good. Let's see how he shows up against A&M. This is a 3.5-point spread. Texas A&M's favorite. I think I like Miami in this game. I think they might just win this thing outright. I'm never a believer in Jimbo Fisher. What do you guys think?
I agree.
I'm with you. The ACC's kind of had the SEC's number so far too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Speaking of that, I got some upset alerts to put some teams on here in the ACC, and one of those, 11 a.m. Wipe the sleep out your eyes early, guys. Got to get up early in the morning for this one. Vanderbilt and Wake Forest. I'm putting Wake Forest on upset alert. Vandy's coming to town. They get out of that half stadium they've been playing in. They get a chance to go on the road. I didn't like what I saw out of Wake Forest against Elon from a statistical standpoint. They should have dominated a little bit more up front. I think Vanderbilt's going to give Wake Forest some problems. And how can we not put Boston College on upset alert And because they're 0-1 and they lost to Northern Illinois, and I don't care that they're playing Holy Cross. Holy Cross has one more win than BC does, by the way. I'm putting Jeff Halfley on fire alert if Holy Cross goes in there to Chestnut Hill and comes out with a victory in a rivalry game. Watch out for that one. And then the final upset alert game of the week. Guys, I hate to do this. Tony Elliott, Virginia, man, it's not even going to be an upset. That's the sad part. By spread wise, there is no upset here. JMU going to Virginia. Those are close in proximity. It's an opportunity for James Madison to go win it against an ACC opponent in state. That sort of stuff changes recruiting for you for a long time. I hate it for Tony Elliott. I think JMU is going to absolutely run Virginia tomorrow afternoon at 2:50 or at noon.
Yeah, a lot of people forget JMU has played spoilers, for a few FBS teams. So, they have a great program, and I don't like you. I think Tony Elliott, I love him to death as a coach and as a man, but he inherited a dumpster fire at Virginia. And honestly, he is still fighting that fire with a skirt off.
Well, I think he's also hired the wrong coaches. That's just my opinion. I've never seen from Des Kitchens and made me think he should be an offensive coordinator, and I think it was a bad decision by Tony Elliott, and I think they're paying for it. I think that's why they lost Brendan Armstrong as he transferred to NC State. All right, guys, let's hit on some national games of the week. Before we do that, I want to ask you this. Is Clemson appropriately ranked in the top 25? Jason, I'll get your thoughts on that. And what teams around them are better? And I can give you some of those. I'll throw out some of those teams. But first, is Clemson appropriately ranked?
I didn't have a problem being ranked 25th. I was kind of curious to see if they'd fall all the way out of the poll after Monday night. So no, I think 25th is about right. 25th, 26th, 27th. I don't think they're as bad as they looked Monday night, and I don't think they're as good as they were made out to be coming into the season. I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle there.
Are they better than Tulane?
Yeah.
Are they better? Are they better than Texas A&M?
I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see. I'm not convinced they are.
Are they better than Colorado?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
If Clemson and Colorado played on a neutral field tomorrow, who are you favoring?
Colorado.
Oh man, now that's a hot take right there. You took 1 week to buy into Dion, huh?
I'm not buying into that defense. That defense they put on the field, but that offense was potent, man. And I know that's not the same TCU team from last year, but Sanders' kid was very good at quarterback. Travis Hunter looks like a star in the making out there. That's an explosive offense. I'm not sure Clemson's got the firepower to keep up.
Ooh, Zach, who you got? Colorado or Clemson right now, neutral field tomorrow morning?
Give me those buffs. You're only as good as your last performance, and that last performance was special for Colorado and Dion. He has the receipts, and I don't want him to have any on me. So, I say Colorado.
All right, fine. But Dion Mania, Prime Mania, taking over here on the All Clemson Tigers preview show here on Friday Live. Good stuff, gentlemen. All right, let's get to some other games here across college football. What is the most intriguing game going into week 2, and why is it Colorado and Nebraska? This game is getting more wagers on it than a Super Bowl. Like, people are flocking to sports books to play Colorado and Nebraska. Are you really that intrigued? We just talked about Dion. Is this really going to be that good of a game?
No. Nebraska has, Matt Rule, that head coach, and
they looked awful, by the way, in their opener against Minnesota.
Yeah, I think Colorado runs them out of Lincoln, and I don't see where the intrigue is, except for it's Coach Prime.
It definitely is Coach Prime, and he has a way of capturing our attention right now. I'm just fascinated by Colorado and what they did in a short amount of time. And then I have no idea what Nebraska is. They didn't show anything. They didn't give us any real idea of their identity and kind of what they want Jeff Sims to be at quarterback. They just tried to survive Minnesota. They almost got out of there with a win. They blew it late, gave up a late touchdown, and then the game-winning field goal. So Colorado probably does end up rolling in this one. Jason, do you push back on any of that?
Nope. I think Colorado is going to roll home opener, prime. Those Buffs fans are going to be ready. Record number season tickets sold out or whatever. I think Colorado wins big.
All right, Texas, Alabama this week. Are we going to learn enough about these quarterbacks in this one? Look, Jalen Miller was fine against Middle Tennessee State. I don't care. I mean, you're supposed to be fine. You're supposed to be really good against Middle Tennessee State. Is he ready to take the next step as quarterback at Alabama, which is winning high-level elite games? And same thing goes for Quinn Ewers. I know he played last year, but can he go into this game and go into Tuscaloosa and lead his team to an upset victory? I'm fascinated by this game. It's probably the game of the week for me. Do either one of you two got any picks on this one?
I'm fascinated by this one, too, because, before Ewers got hurt last year, and that game was at Texas, I know, not in Tuscaloosa, but it looked like, Texas was kind of handling Alabama, or at least, as good as or whatever. But I am very intrigued by this, and I'm not sure how it's going to play out because going back to our show right before the season started, our season preview show, you kind of convinced me about Alabama maybe taking a little bit of step back this year. You made a lot of valid points, and like you say, Milroe's supposed to be good against Middle Tennessee State. We're going to see what he's got this week. Fortunately for Alabama, it's in Tuscaloosa.
I'm still taking Texas in this game. I just don't. I don't trust Alabama's passing game. I don't trust their receivers. I think Texas will get enough offensively. Their receivers are way better than Alabama's, and I expect that to be a huge difference maker in this one. Do you agree, Zach?
Yeah, I do. I am just not buying Alabama this year. I think Texas is going to stumble along the way. They always do, but not this week. This week, they take down Nick Saban in Alabama. All right.
I like that one. All right. All right, let's talk about some other games real quick before we move on and get to our favorite segment of the week. SMU and Oklahoma.
ACC.
This is an ACC game, guys. This is an ACC SEC game. Jason, we got this one. Plus, we got Stanford USC this week. That's ACC versus Big Ten. That's a huge week for the league. The conference had to step up.
ACC.
You get no ACC chant from me. I just cannot bring myself to do it.
Good for you.
Never hear
it. Good for you. Smart man. Oregon and Texas Tech this week's another one that I'm really intrigued by. And can we give some love to Willie Fritz and Tulane?
Yeah.
I think they got something for Lane Kiffin this week in Ole Miss. I think that's going to be a barn burner of a game. Really can't wait to watch that one. Tulane's going to cover the spread, by the way. I think it's like 7.5. They're going to get under that number.
I picked Tulane to cover the spread in this one too. I'm not buying Kiffin and Ole Miss this year. I think Tulane's got a pretty good team.
I like it. Before we get to our favorite and final segment of the All Clemson Tigers preview show live on a Friday, I want you to go check out what we're doing over at allclemsontigers.com. We've got the new Death Valley domain. And what this is, it's an exclusive membership for $4.99 a month. You can get in on the Death Valley domain. You're going to get a lot more than just game coverage. You get a lot more than just videos. You're going to get specialized, really high-level fan interest stories, everything from our biggest opinions, our insights, insider reports, as well as Jason's recruiting, which, we give a lot of that recruiting stuff for free. We'll continue to do that. You get the mailbags for free from Jason, as he does those quite often throughout the year. But Death Valley Domain gives you a chance to get even more. Take it to another level. We want you to join. It's $4.99 a month. You're not going to be disappointed. We got a lot of great content coming. And as we build this thing up, we want to make it more interactive. We want you to join Death Valley Domain and do some virtual meetups where we kind of all hang out and we talk football and we have a good time. So please go check that out at allclemsontigers.com today. All right. Hit it, Zach. It's the game that's sweeping America. Are we smarter than Zach? This is a chance where Jason Priester and I can show that we know more than Zach Lentz, or show that he is a smart man. It's up to him. He can decide if he wants to be a smart man and agree with us, or if he wants to go the other way. Totally up to him.
Sorry, I'm trying to help these young Tigers get some swag.
Get your swag. Get all you want. Take it.
Nice.
All right. We do not have a spread this week. It has not been put out that I've seen from a reputable sports book. So we're going to guess this week. We're going to make up our own. Clemson taking on Charleston Southern with a line of All Clemson made 38.5 points. It's the All Clemson Sportsbook here, live today on a Friday.
Yeah.
Minus 38.5. Jason, I'll start with you. Who you like in this one?
I picked my score prediction earlier, and it was 42-3. So I'm going to go just a hair over because I got to stand by that, right?
Yes, you do. Why? Give us a quick thought on why.
I just don't think Charleston Southern is this is more about Charleston Southern than it is Clemson for me. They're going to come in and try to run the ball, and they're not going to be able to run the ball very effectively against this Clemson defense. And I think this Clemson offense is going to get well for at least a week. I don't know if it's going to last, but I think they're going to get well for at least a week. This Charleston Southern's not very good.
I am going. So you're taking Clemson in this one?
Yeah, I got to stick by the score prediction, so I got to go over.
All right. I'll join Jason. Clemson gets over the spread here. They cover it 38.5. Are we right? Are we wrong? What do you think, Zach? Ooh, he's on the Bucks.
Yeah.
The team going to come in and spoil.
Listen, I had originally had my score in as 51-6. However, the forecast for tomorrow is nasty. It's rainy. There's a chance of thunderstorms, so there could be delays and in and out. So I kind of lowered it just a little. I said 38-6. I think the defense gives up a couple of us like we have seen, and Charleston Southern sells for field goals. This is not a reflection on the offense. It's more a reflection of the weather and elements and stuff like that.
Perfectly by that. Good logic there. You
know what? Think about the weather and when I did mine.
Thank you. Yeah.
Zach makes some good points. Let's give him the win on that one. Whether they cover or not, he won the battle today on the spread. All right, that means we got to take the weather into account for this one, guys. Cade Klubnik, over under 245 passing yards.
Under.
You say under?
Under.
I say under as well. Zach? Good deal.
I say, look, here's the thing real quick. In order for Klubnik to have passing yards, receivers have to catch the ball. And so until that happens, I go under.
Man, he's making too much sense today, Jason. I'm not comfortable with this.
It's hard to argue.
What happened to him this week?
This is what happens when you send me on location by myself.
I was about to ask, what are you drinking out there?
They have smart juice at Magnetic South today. All right, Will Shipley, over under 1.5 touchdowns.
Let's go over.
I'm there with you. Give me. It doesn't matter total touchdowns. I don't care if it's passing, receiving, catching, running, punting, kicking. I don't care how he scored. Just get in the end zone. Will Shipley over 1.5. Zach?
Yeah, I like that as well. Shipley is going to get the ball a ton this week, especially like I said with the weather. I like him for 3.
Man, Zach's on fire today. All right, controversial question. I can't believe this is a controversial question in 2023. Imagine if I said that in like 2016, you'd have laughed me out of the room. Does Clemson wide receiver catch a touchdown pass on Saturday?
I'm going to say yes.
Would you like to guess who?
Antonio or either Tyler Brown.
Here you go. Go with your boy. Go with your boy Tyler Brown. I'm in agreement with Jason on this. All right, Zach, are we right or wrong?
I like this as well. I mean, hell, the odds have to eventually, mean the receiver is going to catch a touchdown. So yeah, this isn't Navy. I mean, this is Clemson. This is wide receiver U.
Oh my goodness. All right. Speaking of receiving, Jake Brenningstool, the tight end, had one catch, I think 2 targets the other night. Over under 1.5 receptions for the big, massive, huge tight end that needs to be used in this offense more often. What do you think, Jason?
Man, I'm going under.
I'm going under. I'm going under 1.5.
I did not like what I saw from Brenningstool Monday night, man. It was not very encouraging at all.
Look, yeah. I like y'all. I mean, yeah, give me the under. He did not look like the guy that we had heard about all camp. He looked slow. He looked like he was indecisive, and also, his route running wasn't good, as we mentioned earlier. So no, again, ultimately, he'll have to have a game like that, but not this week.
All right, moving on here. Let's continue. One more thing on the offense, I believe, and then we'll move into a couple others. Already gave you that one. Sorry, wrong one. Let me let me hit this one. Clemson team rushing yards over under 225.5.
Over. I think they're going to run the ball a lot.
So you don't think they're going to try to feature the passing, or you think they just can't feature the passing game?
I think they're going to try. I'm just not sure how successful they're going to be.
All right, I'll join you on the over, Zach.
And I'm factoring in the weather.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the weather, and also you have got to get off of some confidence back. I mean, that fumble on the 1-yard line going in, that is a confidence killer. So I think you see Shifley and Rafa and Thomas, and honestly, give me Jay Haynes. I mean, he looked like a real deal out there in our So yeah, heck yeah, give me the over.
All right, these are kind of mean. I'm sorry, but over under on kicks missed.
I'm going over.
Over.
Okay, over's fine. I think we're in agreement of that. Boy, this is another one. Number of Clemson turnovers over under 1.5.
Over.
The weather and
got a little unity on this one.
Got
a lot of unity on this one. All right, and then finally, number of Tigers who are going to play tomorrow. How many are going to record a snap? Over under of 109.5.
Let's go under.
Okay.
Under, just a hair.
I say under as well, because I think Dow is going to keep these stars and that core group in a little bit longer than he usually would, just to try to build whatever semblance of chemistry can come out of playing Charleston Southern. But yeah, give me the under.
I like it. All right, that's going to wrap things up here today. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on YouTube, leave us a comment. I want to thank everybody who got in on the show tonight. Got some great comments, people chiming in on some of these, like for instance, Tiger Paw Craven over for the rushing yards. Larry really enjoys your sound effects, Zach, as do I. I'm a big fan of those. So I appreciate you doing that. Tiger Paul Craven also got in and said Clemson 45-3 today.
Yeah.
Wow. Coming up tomorrow. And then Dabo needs to let this team eat. It's not about blowing out CSU, but we need a confidence building game. I think those are all good points. And I want to thank Kelly and John and so many others who got in on the show throughout today's broadcast. And this is going to wrap things up, gentlemen. Zach, I want to thank you for holding things down. Big, huge thank you. While I'm under the weather, you kept things running there at Magnetic South. Make sure you go get that free swag today while he's still there. You can get it. Just walk up and take it. Go get you some free swag. Jason, we'll let you get off to high school football. And these gentlemen will be live in Death Valley tomorrow to bring you all the coverage. I'm still healing up, so I'm not going to be in attendance, but I'll be watching, and I'll have plenty of thoughts and plenty of content over at allclemsontigers.com. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Back to next week at Magnetic South. I'll be there. Week 3, previewing FAU. Take care. We'll talk to you later.